What's up, guys? We're back at it. So let's keep going on this trend of me catching up. Again, I apologize. I'm so not usually this far behind, but I don't know if anybody else is drowning in finals, but I'm right there with you. So let's kick this off with theoretical probability, which is the probability of a ratio of an outcome and the possible outcomes of said outcome. Let's take a look at the first chart. You'll notice that this first chart right here in orange has 2 columns by 6 rows. So the data is not all there. So if you look at the first 2 charts with the 2 columns and the 6 rows, you'll notice that you're likely to roll a 5 out of 3 out of 3 out of 12 rolls. To emphasize this, we use empirical probability to experiment to find out the ratio of the number of outcomes. And if you notice the 2 columns that have 6,000 rows, the more data, the better that we can specify the number of outcomes. So I'll scroll down here for the 6,000. Notice how it looks like stairs, and it's got steady data, versus the very sparse data on our first one. Let's see. For the LNN, you'll notice the increase in rows and how slowly the data for them, the sum becomes. And then as you increase in data, the sum becomes more stabilized. So measuring, essentially meaning the CTL comes into play. Meaning chaos slowly becomes normally distributed and a bell-shaped curve can be made. Let's go to binomial. I had to practice this a couple of times, so if I'm still not saying it right, I'm so sorry. Binomial distribution is a fixed number of trials, and each trial is independent to the others. There are only 2 outcomes. The probability of each outcome remains constant from trial to trial. So you'll notice these first ones and how the percentages have stayed the same. Now we're going to go to the fun part. As we continue, let's see. Normal distribution isn't fixed, and so that way anything could happen at random. Like a good question to ask somebody and do a survey of would be to ask somebody their favorite color, because not everybody has the same favorite color, versus having a set data of do you like green or do you like purple? You have a fixed set of data. Let's see. So if a classmate bought a lotto ticket for $20, they would have a 1 in 60th chance of actually winning. As you can see here with all of these statistics, that's right there. Now, the lottery. This is one that I kind of had fun with just a little bit out of all of them. This one was probably my favorite. Because the Arkansas Lottery Fund was really hard for me to find any information on. It was super vague, it was really frustrating, and I don't know if anybody else found any, but if you did, please inform me, because I did not. As you can see here, the bar charts make it look like Arkansas lottery funds are actually distributed more towards, a little bit more towards education versus than looking at the pie chart. So Arkansas lottery funds, a majority of it is going to the lottery. Half of it is being dispersed unknownly. There's no information on it unless somebody else found it. Like I said, please let me know. And a very small portion to education, which is really appalling in my opinion. It's ghastly. I don't know why I picked Louisiana and Iowa for the other 2 states. However, I'm really glad that I did, because Iowa was the one that had the most information as far as where they're distributing their funds. So we have the Iowa Plan, the Clean Fund, the Iowa Veterans Trust Fund, and the Iowa Gambling Treatment Fund, Special Appropriations, and the General Fund. which I have over here, definitions of each plan. So the Iowa plan is a long-term economic development, jobs now, government construction, community and environment, community and economic betterment. Whew, going a million miles a minute. Okay. Educational agricultural research. The Clean Fund is committing the lottery to the environment, agricultural, and natural resources. The Iowa Vet Trust Fund, which I misspelled here. There we go. Trust fund is set up for the vets and anybody in the state vets family, which is really admirable. And then the Iowa Gambling Trust Treatment, is a counseling outreach and treatment for gambling addiction, which, Benzie, I don't know if you know a better word for this or not, or a better analogy, but to me, it's kind of like feeding a chicken an egg, a hard-boiled egg. Does that make sense? Like you're fueling an addiction with an addiction. You're paying for an addiction with your addiction. And I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for there. But I mean, it's admirable, but it's kind of catch-22. Is that what I'm looking for? Maybe. I'm not 100%. Anyway, and then special appropriations are the community attractions, building, repairing, gaming revenue, and state budget. So they have it broken down way more than I could find as far as Arkansas goes. And like I said, if somebody did find some, I spent like 45 minutes researching, and I got to the point where I was like, I don't have time for this. So I apologize. The body mass was kind of my least favorite subject as far as all of the ones that we've had to do, only because weight's been a big issue for me, and I struggled with weight issues for a long time. And so now that I'm actually like happy where I'm at, it says that I'm underweight, which is weird to me, but we'll go over that. So your BMI is your body mass index, and essentially it's the amount you're supposed to weigh based off of your height. Confidence intervals, and like I said, I'm not good with pronunciation right now. Lack of caffeine, all of the stress. The estimates of the are estimates from statistics observed from the data that may or may not be of true value. So as we go here, you can see that, so I picked me and my best friends, and I put, a little too close. There we go. We'll zoom up right here. So my BMI is 18, and I'm 5'9", and I weigh 124 pounds. So my Z score is down there, and it's in the purple, is negative 1.6. And so I'm on the lower end of the spectrum versus my friends who are in the normal end of the spectrum. So people with a probability of having a lower body BMI than me is 5%, whereas people with a higher BMI is at 95%. My friend Laura, who is also Asian, which I thought was interesting that you had that on the calculator that you can input that into. People with a lower percent body fat than her are there's a 0 chance, which I thought was interesting. And then the higher than her is 100% chance. And the same with my friend Jackie. She's got very petite, very well muscular as well. I don't know what I was getting at. But anyway, let's go to the next set of data. So the confidence intervals are obviously estimated on the statistics. And in Arkansas, you have a 30% chance of being obese as far as your BMI goes. The average is the typical value in the set of data. So the typical value in the set of women is the 27.7 And then for men, that's going to be the 29. And then for the standard deviation is the deviation from the group as a whole. So that would be an example, would be right there, which is going to be the 30. It's going to be like 22-ish, I want to say, for women. And then for men, it's like 25-ish, I want to say. Anyway, let's go to the simple interest and compound interest, which, my God, is so frustrating to me. I'm still trying to grasp the concept of that, but it was a lot of things to learn. And I thought I knew about my mortgage, but oh no, I was wrong. I was simply misunderstood. Okay, so interest is the rate for the use of money lent out, so the lender can make money off of said loan. Can't just go handing out money without making a profit, right? So it also happens to help prevent the lender from losing all that money that they gave out for said loan. So they're not out of monies. Interest is good for investing because the potential gains over time. So, I mean, let's see, for example, the progression of paying off your mortgage would be a good example. Let me just zoom in. Unsubsidized loans. We'll get into that in just a moment. But as you can see, like, over time, with the increased payments on your mortgage, the sooner you're going to get your mortgage paid off, which is good because then you can have more money for yourself or maybe flipping the house. As far as that goes, let's go back up here to unsubsidized loans. So a subsidized loan doesn't accrue interest rates while you're attending school. How nice. Whereas unsubsidized loan, the interest is applied as soon as the borrower accepts the loan. Nice. Pros: placing extra money in the investment, increase the net worths. Cons: you're losing money out of pocket in hand in the moment. To minimize doing all those small portions, to minimize this, doing it all in small portions at a time rather than one lump sum would be great. Unsubsidized loans versus subsidized loans. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I got severely frustrated when we were doing the homework as far as the equations for these, because it just seems to me that there's the investment, and I don't ever want to take a loan. Like, the interest alone is just insane. And then I realized that, oh, my car note, and it makes me want to I don't know if I want to do the math for my own sanity on my own car note, because I feel like I would just completely lose it at that point. Let's move on to stratified sampling and cluster sampling. Stratified sampling is the population divided into subpopulations, and the stratum and subjects are selected at random. Cluster sampling is the populace. I put populi in there, so it was just an easier in the moment way to type population. So if I say it, I apologize. Populi divided into clusters. Random samples of the clusters are selected from a simple design. Now, systematic, every 9, well, not 9, well, we won't say 9. Every X element chosen started at random, and then picking every X element in succession. Whew, I cannot talk tonight. Let's take a look at these. If you look here for, which I'm not very political myself, I try to, we won't get into that. Republican rates for President Trump. So you've got the Republicans, you've got the independents, and then you have the Democrats. all of that data is essentially the cluster sampling, in my opinion, because I mean, you're not really, they're political parties, so obviously they've already got a set agenda, if you will. I brought the survey topic up too soon. That's where it was. However, and the same thing with the men and the women in the armed forces. A good survey that's not compound, I think, would be asking your friend about the colors. I mean, I'm not asking your friend, asking a random person about something. Like, you go to a mall, you do a survey about what your favorite dessert is, you're going to get a plethora of different options. Versus you putting a certain amount of people, men and women, in a certain group, being like Coke or Pepsi, then obviously you're going to have specific numbers for those. Let's see. Conditional probability of someone winning the raffle is directly conditional to said person buying a raffle ticket in the first place. The population has to be varied enough to translate said sample to a grander scale. If the populations are different, then the data becomes skewed. And perspective. This one's fun. So I kind of did a little pattern, if you will, on some of these. I haven't really got to play with them. Oh, and I found what you were looking for. Where is it? If you go File, Insert, Function, under mathematical symbols, you will find the upside down little plus and minus collaboration that you were looking for, Miss Menzie. Before I get on to this, I'm trying to remember how to do the 3D moving around of that. I will get back to that in a moment. Let me go over this. Okay, so 3D graphs or three-dimensional data collection showed as a whole. The numbers that I used were numbers with stigmas around them, so or have some meaning to me. So the number 13 is deemed as unlucky. The number 6 is called the number of the beast, and in most books of Revelation or the New Testament, it's in chapter 13. I think that's funny. The number 9 is just a number 6 sitting up proper and upright. Number 3, because 6 is divisible by 3. The number 5, because it's the first set of numbers I learned to count on my fingers. And the number 8, because the number 8 is so much fun to draw by hand. The patterns that I did are, like, as you can see over here, I try to do something different with my favorite numbers. And so I kind of just did what I thought would be cool. So like just some random pattern in my head. And so this one, I've named these charts after what they kind of like ended up looking like. So I call this one the igloo hot tub because it looks like an igloo because of the colors, and then it looks like there's a big hole in there. So igloo hot tub. And then as I scroll down, I call these ones the Egyptian townhomes because they look like the pyramids. And I don't know, this little beige part right here just reminded me of the Nile, I guess. I don't know. The color scheme just ended up on its own too, so I thought it was pretty awesome. And then I call this one the holy blanket because it looks like a blanket, like somebody would lay a throw over a couch, but there's a big hole right there. That's why I tried those differently. So I can view them, I think. Nope, it won't let me. Well, having said that, I apologize for being all over the place and late. It's usually not like me. I've been so frustrated with these finals, and I appreciate your patience with me. And so, with that being said, Miss Benzie, I can't even remember how to get out of screen share. So with that being said, I hope that you have enjoyed this, and good night.